So I don't know a whole lot about the scientific perspective, or I don't have any of the information from an established manner. Not a whole lot of it, at least. I know little bits, and I've assimilated it into what I know and how I interpret that for the people to understand. We will go break off into consciousness and also infinite universe, what I call a law, essentially. Hypothesis being an idea, a theory being a tested hypothesis, and a law being a proven theory. I consider it to be a law, but that is entirely open to perspective, and that's an individual truth that I hold to. That doesn't mean it needs to be yours. I would appreciate it if it was, but everybody has their own thought processes, and that's totally acceptable. So we'll start out with the infinite universes. That might be all we have time for in this video, being 4 to 15 minutes long. We'll see. So when you look at the idea, or when you think about the idea of a universe, you think about everything that is, or at least a lot of people tend to think about everything that it is. It is everything that we have the ability to witness and view, and what extends beyond it. Some people consider the universe to be infinity. Some people consider the universe to be our entire scope of reality. Some people consider the universe to be God's. I've heard it expressed as the provider, the conscious enabler of our reality. The universe has been chalked up to be a lot of things in my experience to this point so far, and I agree with a lot of it, actually, because the way that I see it is, what do we actually know of the universe? What can we definitely put down that is beyond controversy, beyond question, that is indefinite proven fact? Not a whole lot that I know of or can think of, to be honest. That's funny, because I disagree with a lot of science. I find a lot of turbulent information in the established practices that is what we call science. Really, any of it, philosophy or otherwise, but the focus here is science. And the way that I know my ideology about this, my acclimated interests are a law, is because, again, very ignorantly stating this from what science itself presents, look at what we as a body contain. I've only seen videos, I've only heard tidbits, very little in school. I didn't pay attention in school, I never did homework, nothing. They talk about cells, and they talk about how many cells are in each of our bodies. They talk about the energy that our consumption gets turned into the food that we ingest, the energy that it gets turned into for us to sustain ourselves, glucose and nutrients, minerals, and all the different supplements that we intake. And so those cells are said to be nearly infinitely small. I mean, compared to the size of our full and total self, that's not a surprising thought. Then consider something. If we are made up of millions and billions and trillions and quadrillions and nearly infinite amounts of particles that are named cells, then what are those cells made of? I have heard of something called, it's either mitochondria or mitochondria, which is essentially the cell of a cell. That's how I understand it, at least. So the question that I present then is, what makes up a mitochondria? What gives that mitochondria life? What creates the entire cellular structure, if you can go to that relation on that level? What creates the substance that is that mitochondria? Now take that and go upwards with it and also down, as in increase size and scope and decrease size and scope. What creates the pieces that, however small, however numerous, what creates the pieces that give that mitochondria articulate and certain substance definition from one particle to the next? The way I would look at that question, the way I would answer it, is look at this species alone, let alone the rest of sentient life, the known sentient life, on top of every form of creation upon this planet alone, and imagine how that extends beyond this planet to the stars and the planets and this moon and the sun and the entirety of what we believe is the universe. You have contrast, you have individuality, you have independent existence outside of one another. What are each of those made up of? What are each one of those different forms articulated with? How do we all have our own individuality? Why aren't we are all made up of the same energy. Why are we all different beings? It's because we have different vibrations, because we have different purpose, because we have different levels of consciousness attributed to each of us. It's because there is that difference, that separation. For whatever reason, it definitely exists. We as a people are a living, breathing, moving, acting example of the multiverse theory. Not just multiverse, but infinite multiverse theory. Because to the cells in your body, you are a galaxy or more. To the mitochondria in your body, you are a universe. To the particles of that mitochondria, you are a multiverse. To the particles of that mitochondria, you are the whole of reality. Because that's probably the extent of their awareness, unless they understand the ripple effects that we hold as an individual, and also the attributing that we take out, which could come into relation with the individual consciousness and the language that is spoken from your mind, your spiritual higher thought process, higher vibration, energetic self, and how it translates into the being of what you are. Essentially, you are the god of your body, because your body is more than just what you see here, this. Your body is the whole of existence for an infinite, literally infinite amount of creations that spirals down into however many different numbers. And I say infinite because what makes up that next level of being? What gives that creature, what gives that particle, what gives that cell, what gives that energy life? How is it sustained? How is it an independent individual being separate from anything else? Does that just stop? Do you believe that we all of a sudden do not have room for that anymore, and that there's some breaking point where we have to stop, some cliff's edge where we have to halt our existence and just be what we are? No, I don't believe so. Now take that idea and look up with it. This solar system that we live in, that we acknowledge, could be the cell of the body that is the universe. This galaxy that we exist in could be the cell of a multiverse that we live in, and this universe could be the cell of, probably is the cell of, a multiverse that we live in. I don't know what's bigger than a multiverse, an infinite verse. I don't know. This gives credence to the idea that we could be cells, we could be individual energetic forms of existence under the totality of what is under and inside of the totality of what is some supreme being. We are supreme. We are the God and Goddess. Well, I don't like the word goddess because it's just God with a dis. God and creator, feminine, of what we are. Maybe we're not the God or creator of all that is, but we are the God and or creator of what we are individually. What is beyond us? Do you believe that we are the epitome of existence? Even if heaven is real and there is gods and angels there, even if there's devils and demons, what makes them up? What energy gives them form? What energy gives them life? What's the word I'm looking for? What animation is present for them to be as they are? It's non-stop. That is infinity. Energy is infinity. It's not universe particularly. It's not numbers. It's not science. It's not. Infinity is energy. Because no matter how small you look, there will always be something else. And no matter how big you look, there will always be something else. We are the living example of energy realizing itself and of that color that is present in life and in our times. We the people. United we stand, divided we fall. That's the truth of it. I don't know how we can quantify that in a way to make it an absolute in scientific terms. I don't have a mind for it. I don't have any of the precursor knowledge. I don't have any of the perspective. I don't spend any time in those areas, and I'm happy that I don't do that because it's not where I'm interested. These aren't ideas that I gained because I read it in a book or I watched a video. These are thoughts that I've had and created in my own mind. This is something that I have come to in my own realization. I don't read books to get these ideas. Mind you, I did read the Madeline L'Engle, A Wrinkle in Time. I read the Wrinkle in Time series to find out about mitochondria, and I read about, reading people's thoughts on Facebook to get ideas about the universe and whatever. But I've assimilated and created this knowledge within myself for my own purpose so that I can share it with all of you. This is the end of this video. We're at 14:30 now. So I have to say goodbye for the time being. I wish you all the best and hope that this has been some form of enlightening and or growth oriented for you. Blessings of creation upon you now and always.